Dirt bike gear isn't cheap, but neither is a hospital visit. Yes, you could spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on dirt bike riding gear, but all it takes is one hospital visit, whether you just got a concussion or you broke your foot because you weren't wearing riding gear, and that will blow the cost of dirt bike gear out of the water. Now, does this mean that you actually need to spend $2,000 to get the best riding gear to be as safe as possible? I don't believe so. In fact, just spending more money on protective gear could actually make it less safe. For example, if you buy a $600 helmet that isn't right for you, which I'll explain in just a little bit, a $100 helmet will actually be safer in the event of most crashes. But the number one mistake people make when buying a new helmet is buying one that doesn't properly fit them. So this is one of the first dirt bike helmets that I bought, and it was cheap but of good quality, but the number one thing that it lacked was proper fitment. Now, when I first bought it, it felt really nice and comfortable, and the shape of it fits my head properly, but if I tested it like this, and you actually want to buckle it up first, but if you test it and you wiggle it around, it should not wiggle and slide around this much. This means that the helmet is too big, and in the event of a crash, it's not only more likely to fly off, it can also rattle your head more. When it moves on your head, it's just more likely to cause head or neck issues. So one, finding a helmet that fits your size. It should be tight and snug without hurting, and even if it is a little bit extra tight, after time the foam will break in and it'll be more comfortable to ride. And two, different dirt bike helmet brands, they sometimes have different shapes. So like an oval head compared to a round head, and you don't really know this unless you do the research or try different brands on in the store. That's why I recommend buying your first dirt bike helmet in store if possible, or at least test fitting them. So the next helmet I got was one that was the next size smaller, and yes, it's tighter, it's smaller, but I can wiggle it around and it does not wiggle around very much, especially when I buckle up. It's nice and tight and it doesn't hurt. If you're looking for your first dirt bike helmet, you don't need to spend $600 or $800. But I also don't recommend spending like $50 to $70. Those are usually the cheap name brands with low quality materials. I recommend spending at least $80 to $100 on a dirt bike helmet. And then the next most important item is protection for your feet and ankles. So proper dirt bike boots. Yeah, if you're using flip-flops or even tennis shoes, that's not going to cut it. Or even if you have steel toe work boots, that's better, but you still don't have the same level of protection as real dirt bike boots. Here, so why is that? Well, for the foot part of it, it's super protective and hard all the way around, and this helps prevent your feet, your toes, and your ankle here from getting crushed. So these work boots, they're really flimsy right here. So even though your toes might be protected, the rest of your foot and your ankle can easily get crushed or twisted. And with these dirt bike boots, they go up your shin, so just more protection. Plus they usually have heat shield or just material that prevents your foot from getting roasted from the hot head pipe or coming off the engine. And I also made the mistake of starting with dirt bike boots that were too big, and this just makes it harder to feel like the shifter lever or the brake pedal, and your feet are just more likely to slide around in them and not be as comfortable. So getting some boots that fit nice and snug is key to having safe dirt bike boots. And again, you don't need to spend $400 or $500 on the best dirt bike boots. Are they going to be safer? Yes, but if you're just a beginner rider that's casually riding around, kind of just getting into the sport, you don't need to spend a fortune. I recommend spending at least $100, but you also can get a set of used riding boots. The number one thing to look out for is if they're really worn out, they're going to be really flimsy, and even though this is more comfortable, they've lost some of their protection. Dirt bike boots need to be stiff, and may be uncomfortable at first, and may be hard to shift with stiff boots, but they will eventually break in. But if they're too old, they'll be too flimsy, and you'll just be more likely to get hurt from your ankle or foot twisting. The next piece of riding gear that I highly recommend is chest and back protection. Now there's a few different levels of chest protectors and body armor, but I recommend at least chest and back protector, whether it's plastic or a roost shield, something that will protect you from like getting impaled from a stick or just rocks and roost flying up and hitting you, because that will give you lots of welts, and you can even bleed from those. Since I don't like getting hurt, I started out with full body armor. So you get the chest, the kidney belt, which keeps your insides staying tight in there, full back protection, as well as the shoulder and elbow guard built in. And I like this because it doesn't slide around as much as like separate elbow guards. So if I lean in to a turn in the tight woods and smack a tree with my shoulder, there's scratches here, but usually not scratches or bruises there. So it's really nice. It's vented. It's really not that noticeable unless it's like a 90-degree humid day. And if that's the case, then I usually just wear this. So it might feel a little bit weird and bulky at first, but you get used to it after riding. Now next is eye protection. And if I'm just riding by myself on our property here and I know it's not dusty, I'll sometimes just wear like motorcycle glasses. They just have a little bit better protection than like sunglasses, and it's a little bit easier to see off of. You get more airflow. But if I'm riding with people and I know it's going to be dusty, then you got to have a good set of dirt bike goggles. And you might think that, well, goggles, so you might as well just buy the cheapest one possible. And if you're a casual rider, that's fine, but there is some things to know, and goggles can fit differently depending on your face as well as the helmet that you use. For example, these ones, they seem like they'd fit fine and they're comfortable, but when I put them on this helmet and my face, I don't know if it's my nose is sitting too high or what, but it pushes up or pushes down on my nose, and it kind of closes my nostrils, so it makes it harder to breathe. So I'm kind of constantly having to play with pushing the goggles back up while still sealing properly around my face so I don't get dust in there and in my eyes. So test fitting some goggles which are most comfortable for you and allow you to breathe still while sealing against your face so you don't get dirt and roost in there. The next is some dirt bike gloves. These don't really offer that much protection, especially if you fall at high speeds. You're still going to get scraped up because you want as much dexterity as possible while riding because you're moving your hands around a lot more than like a street bike. Where a street bike glove, they're a lot bulkier, a lot more protection, but you also can't move your fingers as easily. So just starting out with a basic pair of dirt bike gloves is key for protection as well as comfort. And the biggest thing that I've found for fit is if it fits your palm and fingers properly, because if there's too much material here and you're going for like a 1, 2, 3 hour ride or all day, it's really easy for your hands to get sweaty, and this extra material slides back and forth and it gives you blisters, which are really annoying. Then moving on to some pants. You know, you really don't need dirt bike pants, but if you want comfort and a little bit extra protection as well as some functional pockets depending on which pants you buy, some dirt bike pants are nice. And these ones, a lot of people may laugh, but they're over the boot, just a little bit easier to get on, and they got a nice zipper and they cinch together really well and they pop off easily. You can get away with a pair of jeans. They offer pretty similar protection, they just aren't as comfortable and functional. Plus these have some vents that you can open up which breathe a little bit, and it gets pretty humid down there, so vents are nice on a hot day. And if you're not using proper technique, so you're just sitting on the bike all day while riding, this anti-monkey butt can help prevent some nasty chafing, which
you will feel the next day.
Dirt bike jersey, people wear them outside of dirt biking and they look like posers. But if you want comfort and breathability, getting just a cheap jersey, this ugly one is ugly, but it works. Get them for closeout. Yeah, there's not much to say about jerseys other than like the materials that they use and how breathable they are. So I wouldn't spend too much money if this is your first dirt bike jersey and pants, because it's really easy to spend like 150 to 200 bucks on a set. So adding up the prices to try and keep it under 500 bucks, I was recommending a helmet for 100 to 150 bucks, boots for 100, 150, so you got maybe 300 bucks there. Chest protector for 50 to 100, and then goggles and gloves for another 30 to 50 bucks. Let's see, jersey and pants, you can maybe get some closeout ones for 50 to 70 bucks. So that should be, let's see, 350, 50, 400 to 450 bucks if you're buying new. So can you buy used? Well, if you're buying a helmet, I really don't recommend buying used, especially if it's more than a few years old, because the materials, they break down and you don't know if it's been dropped or crashed in, and if it has, even if it's not cracked, the foam compresses and it's not as safe as it once was when new. So I wouldn't recommend buying a used helmet unless it was used like once and it fits you properly. But as far as like the boots, the riding pants and jersey and goggles, if you find some good condition used ones that aren't worn out, you could probably start out with a $100 helmet and spend another 100 bucks on used boots and the rest of your riding gear. So you could probably start for $200 to $300 if you don't mind having some used gear, but you'll be a lot safer than if you were to start out using nothing or just a helmet. So you got the right bike and now you got the right gear, but you need to check over your bike so that it's going to start and run and stay reliable and not break down on you. That's why you should subscribe and check out my next video coming out tomorrow on the pre-ride checklist of what to look for on your bike before going out for a ride so it doesn't break down on you. And don't forget to share this with a friend or family member. We're going through this 30-day, 30-video beginner series to get you started safely and on a budget so you don't break the bank. I'm Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Learn more, ride more.